Happy Baroque Girls Monday. We're back with another friend of ours, Wilson, or artistically known as Guest, with two S's on all the music files. So, you know, tell us why there's two S's, because for fun.
The two S's in the artist name is from combining the word guess, like taking a best guest, and combining the concept of a guest, of being like a visitor.
All right.
And I felt really strongly on this day. Yeah. So basically, we had been stuck inside. This was March, like late March of 2020. Yeah. And, you know, early March was kind of when we all started to be like, oh, we're going to be inside for 2 weeks. And it's like, if we just stay inside for 2 weeks, it'll be fine.
Yes.
And yeah, so like weeks 3 and 4, we were like, okay, this isn't really gonna be the way we expected it to be.
Yeah.
And it was a gorgeous day. It was just like a beautiful, beautiful day. So we decided to go out and to nature and commune with it. I felt really strongly on this day that I was like only gonna be around for like 70 years or less.
Wow.
Or, you know, like 70.
Okay. I was like 7 and I was like, now expand on that.
I'm like,
now let's talk about it, because that's not a long time. And then that was like 3 years ago. So I'm like, hold on. So wait, we just got like 4 left? That's like, what is this?
Yeah, I'm planning for my death.
Jeez, wow. I'm like, thank you for spending your limited amount of time with us on this podcast.
On the Baroque Girls.
On Baroque Girls.
No. 70. I was like 20 at that, or 22 at the time, and I was thinking like, you know, pretty say like I guess like a good estimate would be like 90 years old. That's pretty old. That's pretty cool. You know, got it like that much left. Like I'm not gonna be around for very long, and like the one thing that I'd felt really confident in knowing with my music project for like a really long time, that pretty much the only thing that stuck around was that the best way that I would make any sort of progress was by just like throwing shit at the wall, just like taking my best guess. And
wow,
yeah,
I like that.
Yeah,
that's such a cool name to come out of that too. Guest.
Well, and so then I was basically doing like I love random word generators. Like I think they're so fun to like figure out like what you're gonna do. And I think visitor came up, and I was thinking about that concept, and then that came up, and I was like, okay, that's for real, that's cool. Yeah. And then like that concept of like just taking my best guess, and I just kind of like guess. Just taking my best guess. And so then I just like, it was one of those things that I wrote it down, and I was just like, okay, I love Skrillex. And like, I'm always kind of comparing things to him, not because like I want to be him or because like, you know, whatever, but just because like he's impacting me really strongly, and artists that really impact me strongly. Like I'm trying to, I wouldn't say emulate, but just like, take an understanding and a care for like what they're doing and why it impacts me well. And so I'm like, Skrillex is just such a fun name to fucking say, like Skrillex. Yeah. And so I was like, I wanted my artist name to be like that. I don't necessarily think that Guest is exactly that, but it was just kind of like, I was looking at it, just staring at it. And like my friend Colton at the time was like, festivals are never going to be able to like, you know how a million people, like you'll have like an all lowercase name and someone's just going to capitalize your first fucking letter or whatever. So they're like, okay, make sure you write it in like all the ways that someone could fuck it up, and just make sure that it looks cool like that.
And it does in every single way.
Every way.
Yeah, I feel like it's the only reason why it's only close to Skrillex is because it's like Scrabble, where X is such a popular, like it's such a hard thing to like put into a thing. So the X really makes Skrillex so fun to say, because it feels like it like wraps back around. But I think Guest is pretty great.
Guest, we've got the consonants.
The consonants in there. It's a different vibe. I don't know if it's necessary. I feel like it is pretty good. I don't know. I feel like it's better than Skrillex.
Whoa.
I feel like it's a better word to say than Skrillex.
Guest is better to say than Skrillex.
Guest is better to say than Skrillex.
So you better start saying it.
Yeah, no. I think it is.
What's been really cool about it is like just kind of, so the other artist that's been absolutely blowing my mind, like really inspiring me lately is Aries. And like, especially moving to LA and then getting obsessed with Aries was kind of fun, because it was like, well, this music sounds like LA. This music like feels really cool. And then just like diving into his like world, and like he's got the Wonder World kind of like, I guess, environment, what world, I guess.
Yeah.
The Wonderworld world is the world in which Aries inhabits, right? Aries of Wonderworld.
Yeah.
And so I was just trying to think about like, well, what's the world that Guest inhabits, right? And like, because like, you know, just thinking about like these concepts and like what does this artistic identity mean to me? And I kind of settled on like, you know, this concept of, because I'm only going to be around on this planet for a little while, I'm doing my best, just like take my best guess. I just settled on this concept of like planet home. So like my LLC is Planet Home. So like, yeah. So I'm guest of Planet Home. And so kind of those two artists basically having like a big influence on me.
That is so hard.
Thank you.
Your ideas on artistry are incredible.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right off the bat.
Right off the bat,
so
like even like your ideas of like just what you wanted your name to be, like, and why, and like where that comes from, and like that's all
you thought about it all. Like,
it's incredible.
Thoughtful.
Like, I really
when I'm saying it here, it sounds very distilled, as if I came up with it in like one moment. But you know, it was more.
It takes time, and like,
process,
and I'm sure that the process was. I don't know what the process. What was it like? Like to wait. How would you describe your music exactly?
Okay, 2 questions. So I guess describing my music, they're interrelated. So, like the process of coming to my artistic identity was. I was really holding on to that idea of the only thing that I can do is take my best guess, because at the time I had basically just come out as non-binary too. So like part of the reason why I wanted to change my artist name in the first place is because my previous artist name I had started in high school or like end of high school. I was like literally leaving behind like a gender that that people had perceived me as for so long. I was leaving behind a city. I moved out of Seattle. I knew that I was moving to LA that spring. That spring I knew I was moving to LA the fall. And yeah, it just felt like I was like kind of going into this whole other thing. So it was really scary. So the only thing I could hold on to was just like throw shit at the wall. So like whenever I was like, oh, I'm not making the right decisions, or this doesn't even sound right, or Planet Home, doesn't that sound cheesy? That's gross, like whatever. Like it was just like, no, keep it because it's the best that you have right now, and keep throwing shit at the wall for the other stuff that you need. And it will either start to make sense or you'll know exactly where to change it. And you know, all those things that like I don't keep as part of my artistic identity anymore, are things that I don't even remember what they were originally because they fall away. So it's nice to remember that like whatever you throw at the wall, like the things will stick, and the other things, they won't even be a problem. You don't need to worry about accidentally committing to something that's the wrong thing.
I'm glad you said that.
Such a good, we've been kind of talking about that exact thing.
So many artists get trapped behind not wanting to do it because it doesn't feel like the perfect thing.
Yeah, they're like, I don't know if I want to commit to this. And it's like, who said you have to?
Who said you had to? You know what I'm saying? Like you're doing something for right now. Like the art that you make right now will always be in that moment.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? In that time. And it can transcend time, but that's what makes really good art is when it's able to transcend moment to moment, but it starts at a specific point in time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's really good to be able to be like, well, whatever sticks right now is what's good. You know what I'm saying? Because then at least you're doing something. You know what I mean? And
perfect is the enemy of great. You know? And y'all never heard that? Oh, okay, word. Yeah.
No. Come on. I've never heard that.
Yeah. Well, and it actually kind of goes along to, I was having a conversation with my friend Lefty Wingate, and you know, we were talking about how it was something that I had learned, and I was trying to just basically help him out because he was feeling like really stressed, like, oh, I can't make the thing that I can't make the thing that I want to be making. And I had basically just gone through the same thing, and I was like, my music doesn't sound like Aries, and that's not a bad thing. You don't want to sound exactly like someone, but like, why can't it be as big or whatever? And then like simultaneously, shout out DJ Recode, and just like there's so many fantastic artists that I come into contact with, and I was just like, they are so fantastic. They're doing amazing things. Like, I wish I was doing that. And so it's like every 5 seconds you can be like, oh, I want to be doing this other thing. But the thing that I kind of realize is by the time you're able to make the thing that inspires you today, you will be inspired by something else. And so it's the same thing. It's like perfect is the enemy of great. It's just do great or do good or do shitty, do okay today, because like you will never be able to do the thing that you want to be doing. And that's okay, because you're always going to be making the thing that's like the best for you. And then you'll look back at it like a year later, 2 years later, and be like, that's hella sick. It's not me now, but that's okay, because it's still hella sick. And I'm glad that I did that. And you start building this catalog of things that make up like the history of you while you participate in the now of you.
Wow.
It's real as fuck, and that's exactly what we needed to hear right now.
Yes, I'm literally like first 15
I'm like, wait a damn minute, like
whoa, holy
we
shit.
needed to hear that.
That's incredible.
Wow. Because
That's...
it is so hard as like just a freelance content creator of any kind, whether it's music or film or comedy or whatever, like the world is your oyster.
Yeah.
You literally can do anything. Like no one is hiring you to do. I mean, you know, like you're up to your own devices, and you can really just like kind of get stuck. At least for me, like if I'm not constantly around other people and having conversations, like get stuck in my head overthinking my next step, and it literally never makes it onto the page. Like it will never make it onto the page because I don't know, just having any sort of sounding board.
Yeah, it's tough.
Is so crucial because they'll just tell you to do it.
Right.
Can I recommend a book?
Yeah.
It's called Steal Like an Artist. By Austin Kleon.
Okay.
And it's really small. I buy a copy of it like every 5 weeks because I just give it to people because it's that kind of book. You just like it's like $7 at the last bookstore.
Purchasing that.
I'm texting you the name.
It's so good.
That's incredible.
But one of the ideas that I got from it, and I haven't put this into action as much as I would have liked to yet, but it was keep your tools organized and your materials messy. And I thought that was really cool because you talk about like, oh, I'm not being able to put stuff down on paper. Like I'm just like agonizing over this thing. Like I guess something, maybe I can't speak for everyone, but something that I've realized about my own process is that the things that I think that are so cool about the things that I'm making are usually the ones where I was like, oh, that was an accident, or I didn't mean for that to be the case, or that ended up being cooler than I thought. And it's usually, again, because I'm not thinking about it, throwing it at the wall, but also because like there was something that was just there that was like already in front of me. And I had access, like my workspace was clean enough. My tools were clean enough. My Ableton, shout out Ableton, was like organized well enough for me to be able to action the idea. But like I had like a weird soundbite or something that I recorded that was like just happened to be in the project file or happened to be in this folder of samples that I was scrolling through. And that way you don't even have to think about what your next step is. Like you never know really until you just start like, well, I'm in this one. Right. And then you just keep doing that. And then you know what you need to cut out. It becomes a lot easier. Right. I was just talking with some coworkers today about how SZA's song, I think it's called F2F. Yep. It's very Avril Lavigne. Yep. And then Trippie Redd, that album that he collaborated with Travis Barker on is very like pop punky, but like with obviously with a Trippie Redd flavor and like a little bit of like a different vocal style than we're used to. Yep. That kind of stuff is just so cool. So cool. Yeah. But it's simultaneously like you said, it does have this kind of secondary problem with like our industry for so long has been
genre
defined by genre. Like, oh, like, are you a pop artist? Are you a rock artist? And like, you can only be on these playlists. And in fact, just the concept of playlists in general is like really fascinating in this modern era. I think it's really cool that Spotify has taken this stance towards like, you know, instead of being like indie rock, like they do have an indie rock playlist, but like they're more like sit on your bed and cry about your ex.
They have vibe playlists. They have vibe playlists like Pollen now, and it's just it's a lot of music is going towards like what do you feel when you listen to this, which is very poetic. You know, it's very poetic, and I didn't realize like growing up how limiting genre is. You know what I'm saying? Like when you feel like you can only do one particular thing, how hard that must have been for artists who are like, well, I'm capable of doing more. I would love to do more if I had the opportunity. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm inspired by not just this one thing, you know? And then on the opposite side of that, there are these artists who probably felt only secure in the genre that they make, so then they limited themselves where they really weren't willing to try anything else. It's like, no, I have to only listen to rap because I'm a rapper. I only have to listen to rock because I'm a rock star. Like, you know, that's whack. You know what I mean? It's like music is music at the end of the day. So
and I again, like that is something that I fell prey to. Like I was limiting to myself. I remember thinking that like I wanted to be a DJ, so I have to make music that's DJable. And then I was adding vocals and doing things in my song that was like kind of frustrating to DJ. When I was still making music under Wilson Like the Volleyball, I made a track that had a drop in 15/8 time signature for like 4 bars in the course of the bar. Whoa. I was like, that's like, if you've ever used Rekordbox or a CDJ, it breaks the whole set. Like it's so impossible to kind of keep like, you know, like DJing between multiple tracks. And so that kind of led me to this realization that like slowly, very slowly over time, that like I didn't have to be locked down into one thing. And especially when I moved to LA and I finished basically an electronic album that's called I Am Worthy of Love. It's like my first like full release as guest.
Oh, exciting.
I I was like, okay, I'm going to pivot to this pop stuff. I never thought I would do that. I used to be one of those kids that made fun of Katy Perry, even though it secretly slapped.
Yeah.
Come on, Katy.
Katy Perry hit in that time. Now, I'm not going to support Katy as a person because Katy as a person seems like a bad person.
Oh, shit?
Yeah.
She seems a little wild. Wait, did she say anything actually
She did something
offensive?
crazy on like American Idol with this like minor. And then I think, I don't know, it was wild. It was weird because she knew it was a minor when she was, and she said something like that.
Did you see the video that just like has been going around? I think it was really recent. It was why it's just been going around now of Katy Perry. And I don't know where she was at, but she was talking about, it was so dramatic because it was like one of those like trope type stories, but she was like, yeah, and then I was there, and then this like little blonde girl came to me with this song, Ocean Eyes.
Yeah.
And I told her no.
Saw that.
And that was the biggest mistake of my life.
I literally
it was Billie Eilish.
Billie Eilish. Yeah, I was like, she's joking. She was
nothing
like,
crazy. Biggest mistake of my life.
Yeah,
like, damn, all right, Katy. Yeah. I feel like the biggest mistake of your life was the weird shit you did with the minor. But like,
yeah, you know,
I mean, flopping on Billie Eilish. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, for sure. That was a big mistake.
Yeah,
that was huge.
Can't sleep on Billie
Ocean
Eilish.
Eyes with Katy Perry. That actually probably would have like killed that song, low key. Probably would have killed that song. It wouldn't have had any moment. You see the shit that It was weird. It was really weird, and it was like, I don't know why that happened.
How old
because it was
was
unnecessary.
He?
I think he was 17.
He looks like a child. Yeah, he looks so little.
Yeah, he was like 17. Oh no, he was 19.
At the time, 19.
That's still
strange,
like 30
though.
something.
Right, exactly.
Weird gray
It was like,
area.
why is that happening? And there's just been some stuff that's like not like that, but it's always like she's riding the line of being super crazy. You know what I'm saying? So
I mean,
but fireworks hits.
But you know what? Fireworks roar.
Plastic,
They're playing
plastic
that.
bag.
Yeah, they were playing that in the climbing gym the other day, and I was like, I'm not gonna lie, it felt a little less like a plastic bag.
Katy Perry's good. Oh, I know that's right. Oh my God, for real. Let's go.
Okay, I feel like I've been dodging the question for far too long. So I'm just gonna tell you, my music is basically me taking all the things that inspired me for so long, as like a lot of people are, and trying to put it into a space that makes sense, that always sounds like me. Another thing that I got from that book, Steal Like an Artist, was that like you does not matter having a common thread, like trying to have a common thread in your work is not important, because you will always, like, the common thread is the fact that you made it, and it will sound like you automatically.
Absolutely.
So I make pop punk music because I was really inspired by like Sum 41 and like Simple Plan and Avril Lavigne. I make like, I guess I would call it hyper pop, but it's more just than anything else. It's just like I was really inspired by electronic artists and like early Skrillex, like Turmoil. But then also have really loved this kind of like distillation of like pop, like what it is to be catchy, which we're seeing from like Charlie XCX, the like ridiculous sound design of like Sophie, all those things kind of come together. So that's like, I would call that the hyper pop corner. That's the pop pop corner. And then there's the pop corner, which is that when I moved to LA, I got obsessed with Aries, but not before. I was listening to fucking Positions by Ariana Grande like every single day. So that, like, I would just call that like pop, right? So Positions
is incredible.
Oh, and Julia Wolf actually also. If y'all don't, whoa, okay, get put on. She's like kind of on the like the big old come up right now.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
On Julia Wolf.
Gotta check out. Shout out Julia Wolf.
Shout out Julia Wolf.
Shout out Julia Wolf. Positions is an incredible album.
It is. It's a good album.
Positions is an incredible. I mean, just her voice on that is excellent. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. So that's a great thing to be able to take inspiration from. So that's so cool. So artist journey up until now. So you moved from Seattle to LA. How long have you been in Los Angeles?
Well, that's an interesting question. I was fully nomadic last year. I spent 5-ish of those months in the LA area. And then I did a full year of LA before that. And now I am, well, I guess I have a place here in LA, but I have like traveled so much since I've been home that I haven't really spent a whole lot of time. But I guess I would consider it like, it's like one of my homes, you know what I mean?
Gotcha.
So
is it traveling for work, or are you traveling for music? Like, what's the
any and all? I think that when so for like my day job, I have not flown super regularly for them. Just like small events, I think like maybe once or twice in the last 2 years.
Gotcha.
But yeah, in general, it's to like see friends, make music with other people. And also just like, because it's like where, okay, so I would consider myself to be an extrovert. But I also have like a high level of inertia to get like talking and get like comfortable. So it's like funny once I start rolling, and like if I were to like be put in a party right now with you two, like I actually think I would have a really great time. But sometimes it takes me like a little while to like warm up. But like I actually really love being an extrovert. The reason why I was nomadic last year is because I realized that I was so much, I had so much less inertia necessary to get to this point where I'm at, where I'm like feeling comfortable talking to people. If like I'm waking up on a floor in my clothes and putting my like quilt in my car and just like going to a Starbucks to work. And like, I'm already like, from the moment I wake up, I'm with people. I'm like, you know, like shout out Arcane Sky for letting me crash on their floor. Shout out Costi. Also there, I think it's Cost actually. Whoops. I'm 2 years into knowing this dude and I'm mispronouncing his artist name still.
It's so real. No, it happens. It happens. Names are really hard to remember. It doesn't I promise I'm forgetting everybody's name all the time.
For real. But yeah, no, just that concept of like staying on, I think was really beneficial to me.
Listen,
not forgetting people's whose name are people?
Literally everyone. I won't even lie. It took a minute. It took a little minute, I think, like to remember. No, actually, I don't think I remembered your name pretty quickly. But literally everybody else in the house, except for Zoe. Zoe, I remember quickly. I remembered you quickly. And Betsy, I remember because of Betsy Cella, because that was the name of the event. But like,
that was the name of the event.
It's not. It's hard. It's like tough to remember that.
Names are kind of hard.
Names are hard.
Names are hard,
man. You know, it's like it's not easy. It's not easy.
Yeah.
Anyway, continue. This has nothing to do with where
you're fine.
Yes, no, but
yeah. So was like the nomadic era on like that a purposeful decision, or was that kind of a circumstance?
Yeah, totally. So it was purposeful. And so one of my like very, very, very close homies, I wonder if, I think they'll probably prefer to be referred to as Magic Tough. Is their like?
Okay, all right, we got some cool ass people in this universe.
Arcade Sky, Cost, Magic Tough. Wait,
Magic Tough. Yeah,
Magic
DJ Rico.
Guest. Come on.
So Magic Tough and I were living in the same apartment building. We moved from Seattle together. We were living in the same apartment building when we first moved to LA.
Incredible.
We were like, I wouldn't say like fighting, but we were having like a miscommunication moment, and we were trying to live together again for the next year. Things were just like a little awkward between us. We've since worked it out, and it was like we had one of those conversations where we just like sob in a skate park for 4 hours. It was great. It was amazing.
Love those.
So thankful.
Never had one of those, but it sounds therapeutic.
Yeah, but like, so we didn't want to commit to like a year-long lease because we were just like, none of the things that we wanted were aligning. And but we both work for the same company and we both work remote. So we were like, we should just travel together. And we only had plans as far as 2 weeks in New York City. And then at the end of the 2 weeks, they were like, I'm going to go to Philadelphia. And I was like, I'm going to go to EDC. And that was the last time we saw each other until we connected back up in Seattle like 6 months later, and then had that sobbing in the skate park conversation. But we talked, obviously, had FaceTimes and stuff like that. But so it was not intentional to be alone. And it, like, I guess I would say that it was intentional, but it was also kind of just one of those things where it was like, well, what options do we really have? Like, I don't really know what the best like decision is. And oh man, that was like, that whole year was so freeing and so terrifying and so hard. It was one of those things, right, where I was like, oh, I'm nomadic. I don't really live anywhere, but I kind of live like wherever I want to right now. And so many people were like, oh, that must be amazing. I'd be like, I spent a lot of time alone trying to not hate myself. And it worked. It worked.
Good.
That's incredible.
But it was, you know, really, really expensive. I'm so privileged and grateful that I was able to do that. But it was like, just, it was really difficult but also really rewarding.
Right.
Wow,
I remember last year when I wanted to do van life for a year, and everyone told me that I wouldn't like that.
Yeah.
And that it was gonna be too difficult.
Well, because you wanted glamp, like you wanted like your PS5, like you wanted everything.
I wanted to
there.
glamp. I wanted to glamp.
Okay.
I wanted like my TV. I wanted like internet.
So that's why we were like Isaiah, and we were like,
it would be a vibe if I did that though.
No, but then we were like, you're gonna get FOMO, and you were like, I would pull up.
I would pull up in the van because it's mobile. And does that not make any sense?
No, that's
I met parking. You can't even find parking for your Mazda.
Okay, yeah, parking is a little bit of an issue. Although I will say, I met someone in Brooklyn.
You're so right.
I met someone in Brooklyn who lived outside the climbing gym in Greenpoint in their van. So
this is what I'm saying. Now, okay. Was the realistic idea of pulling up in the van in Los Angeles was that a little far-fetched? Maybe. Yeah, but
hey, parking's cheaper than rent though.
Parking's cheaper than rent.
Really, well, honestly, yeah, parking being cheaper than rent.
Parking being cheaper
of like
than rent
a life-changing.
Yeah,
it's big. You know what I'm saying? But no, it is like it is. The reason why I wanted to do that was because I had watched, I think last year's or maybe 2 years ago, Oscar winner Nomadland. And Nomadland was just so good, and I was like, oh, that would probably be like life-changing, but it's hard. Like,
it's
that's
hard.
Like really difficult.
Was that supposed to be the takeaway from that?
No, it certainly wasn't. I went off on a crazy romanticized tangent of that movie, which was very clearly saying, actually, this is very difficult and not a life that most people would want to live. And then I was like, I want to do it because I'm insane. But
I'm gonna bring my PS5. Franz McDormand was not playing PS5 in Nomadland. Which is amazing.
But I'm glad that you were able to go and do that and be able to like learn from it, because I had like a place. I was living in everybody knows I'm from South Carolina. I was living in Hartsville in 2021, but I was also like, I was not there like majority of the year. I was traveling around. I was this was like sort of like later stages of COVID. Still not safe. It wasn't a good idea that I did this, but it was just where I was in life at the time. And when they had started like once I got my vaccine and they had started like selling flights are so cheap, I was like, I'm boosted. I mean, not boosted because that wasn't a word yet, but I was like, I'm vaxxed, I'm maxed, I'm ready to get it going. So I like just traveled to all of these places, and that stopped when I came to Los Angeles, because I was by the beginning of it, I was someone who had never been anywhere except for South Carolina.
Sure.
And by the end, I was someone who just wanted a stable home. And I was tired of being in airports.
Oh my God.
That's tired of being like traveling all the time.
The burnout of always being on the move.
Yeah.
We came back, my sibling and I came back. So I was alone until June.
Mm-hmm.
So how long of this, how long of a period of time is this?
Yeah. So October 1st, actually September, the night of October 1st, I crashed at Jacques' house, actually, with Magic's house.
Jacques in the corner. Shout out to Jacques in the corner. We've done it.
Yep, we have.
We fell asleep there, yeah.
Very comfortable, very comfortable.
It's nice, yeah. You probably slept on my couch.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. And we slept on that couch together.
We did, and it was mad comfy.
SpongeBob in the background.
It was mad comfy.
Yeah.
Had a great night. That was a great night. Man, that was so fun. What was that?
Yeah.
That was game night? What did we have, game night that night?
No, it was, we were just hanging out with Cassius. Shout out Cassius. Doesn't live there anymore, but.
Yeah, shout out to Cassius. But yeah, we were just, we were just hanging.
It was that night.
We were just.
I'm missing out.
We were just hanging that night. I thought it was.
We were just chilling. We watched SpongeBob.
Yeah, we watched SpongeBob, but it was a very comfortable couch. So congrats to you. Wait, that was your couch that you owned?
So the story of like the nomad shit was that I was like, I'm probably coming back to LA after a year.
Mm-hmm.
And like there's a lot of these things that I could trash or sell or get rid of or whatever. And like none of that sounded good. And so I just started asking homies, like, do you need this? I would rather just give it to my friends. Right. And so Jacques needed a couch. So Jacques got a couch, also got one of my guitars. My friend, Pei, she like was the caretaker of my desk and chair, which I really wanted to get back. So I was like, can I just like free loan you these for a year? And that was like
those
good.
are the best times. Like those are the best. I was able to loan something away because it really, there's not a lot in this world like these days. I think especially with, this is such a crazy tangent, I feel like, but it's like with capitalism, there's not a ton of decisions that benefit both parties. You get what I'm saying? So it's like when you're able to loan something that you don't need to somebody else for like a moment, knowing that you'll be able to get it back.
Yes.
And then in that time, it really benefits them. They don't have to spend anything. That's a very special thing because we don't have a lot of that.
You want to get me talking about anti-capitalism? Oh my
God. And and that's where it always goes for me. That's where it always goes for me. And I can talk about it a lot, but I do want to hear about your career, your story.
That's part of it. I try to talk about it in my music. Yeah, for the most part.
Really?
Right. Yeah.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, so the first like 4 songs on the record, or no, I guess starting with Kinda Ugly, then Body Image, then 23 Not Famous, in order. They're basically all about the way that, well, we don't talk about capitalism, me, doesn't talk about capitalism explicitly until 23 Not Famous, but it's basic, like Kinda Ugly is like, wow, TikTok makes me feel kind of like garbage.
Yeah.
And then Body Image is like, but it's like, but I don't know it's TikTok. It's like, oh, I'm pretty sure that I just feel like garbage all the time. Like, what is this? And then I'm like, oh, it might be this social media thing. And then Body Image is like, oh no, it is. For real. Like I for sure know that TikTok and Instagram make me feel like garbage. And 23 Not Famous is more towards Instagram specifically. And it's just like, no, like, I guess I would say that if Body Image is being sad about the fact that social media makes me feel like garbage, 23 Not Famous is being angry about it. It's being like, wait, no, fuck this. Like, I'm being sold, like, what does that say? I've realized that, like, or I guess I did realize, and I think it's still partially true, there's nuance more to everything, but the song is kind of about this feeling of, like, Instagram is not about, if you look at it from a cynical capitalist perspective, you are selling Instagram by posting on Instagram. You're being like, look how fun it is and how good it is and how hot we all are being on Instagram. Yeah. And then the kind of like, I guess the reason why I'm like an energy person. So like if everyone's putting energy into selling themselves, but it's actually being permeated into selling this other product, then like there's just like a whole bunch of non-intention that's just getting like swirled into this like sickening pool. And then we're all taking in that energy without really being super aware of it. Yeah. And so for me, that turned into just like, Body Image is about like how it makes me feel like my self-image for myself. And 23 Not Famous is more about like the like mental self-image. That's like, I'm at the time I was 23 when I wrote those lyrics. And I was like, I'm 23 and I'm not famous. And I remember seeing a tweet by Glaive, who at the time was 17. Jacques introduced me to Glaive. I was super stoked about it for like 5 days. And then I just was like, I'm the fucking worst. This kid's 17. They're doing everything that I want to be doing. Yeah. And then like a month or two later, they post a tweet that's like, yeah, like you don't want this. Being famous sucks. Like I lost all my real friends. Like now I have nothing. Yeah. And I remember just still being, the lyrics for 23 Not Famous in the chorus are 23 Not Famous. I can't help but envy them. It's not it, they said, or it's not it, he said. So just like literally being like, I know, because everyone that I know who has like a certain level of fame tells me like that this is not what we all think it is. And yet I don't care because I'm still being sold every day this pool of energy of like, you must do it.
Right.
You must be famous.
Yeah.
So
that feeling of like, it may not, everyone, you're seeing everybody literally say, y'all, this is not what you want. This is not what you want. But all you can really pay attention to is the 5-star at the hotel that they're saying it from.
Exactly.
So it's like, whoa. Yeah. What do you know? You're not here. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't get it because you're so far removed. So clearly, whatever your situation is, you must have forgot how hard it was over here.
Yeah.
But truly it is kind of like, and I feel like that's something, it's funny that you like mentioned that because I was literally thinking that exact same thing last night with Twitter. I was on Twitter and I was like, I've been tweeting a lot more than I've ever tweeted like in my life very recently. And I was like, every time I come on this app, like I feel very free. I feel very good when I'm doing, like, it's very fun. It makes me laugh. But the things that like bring me down, they bring me so far down. Like I'm always like questioning, like, is this a thing that like, if Twitter knew about it, that would they like me or would they hate? And it's like, this is a thing that I never had to care about before. Yep. I didn't realize how free I was from social media before social media. Before really making my job social media. And it's like, oof, this is it's hard.
It does suck because even if your job wasn't social media, I feel like social media has become the tool. The only tool really that like gives you personal agency. Yeah. Because most people don't have nepotism or other connections. So it's like, even if your job isn't literally posting on social media, like, sure, I'm sure we all want to be disconnected, but it's like, how then do you like progress?
Yeah. How do you do anything? I feel like you have to have already established yourself in whatever job, or maybe, I don't know, maybe there's a way.
I have some thoughts on this.
Yes.
Yeah. So, okay, another shout out. Shout out Alter.
Shout out Alter.
Alter is, what a fantastic human being. Has taught me so much. I remember calling him early on when I still hadn't even released I Am Worthy of Love, which is the prior album, and just being like, no one listens to my shit. Like, I have to do Facebook ads. I have to perform on Instagram. I have to do whatever it is to get people to hear my shit. And then he just, like, so many calls were just permutations of me saying that, hour-long calls. And just, I was finding a new way to say that. Like, I'm not hot enough. I'm not pretty enough. My music's not connected enough. Like, whatever, all these things. I don't have the right connections. And pretty much every time, the thing that he always said that would stick with me, like pretty much every time, was just build it and they will come. Like, don't think about all this other shit. Just like make the things that you love. And, 2-ish years past that, just like a couple months ago, like Thick Iron Fog, which is a song I wrote all the way back when I was living in Seattle, crossed over 1 million streams. Incredible. And I had this, thank you. Yeah. And I remember just being like, oh, this is what dude meant. That like, and this concept of like, whatever you're doing, if you're doing it with the right intentions, if you're doing it in this way that is free from that kind of negative pool, and you're doing real work that, like, I don't want to like discount because there's some real work, but if you're doing like work that is authentic, it doesn't matter like how it doesn't matter if you promote it or like in this way that like you need to be on the Instagram or on socials. It will find the audience it's supposed to if it was done with the right intentions, and if you keep like talking about it and keep being true to it,
and you prove that you really want it because because it's authentic, because it's real. Yeah, sure. That's the same type of mindset that I like try to tell people when they want to get into social media. It's like, just post. You know what I'm saying? Just post, and people can tell when you're not being real. People can tell when you're fishing for likes and numbers. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can. Like, I can't tell you the number of times where I had like a concept of a video and I made it and I was like, oh, I love that. That was really great. And it made me feel very whole, made me feel very fulfilled. Post it, a whole bunch of people see it, but then the business mindset kicks in and I'm like, well, I have to do that same thing again tomorrow.
Yes.
And then I do it tomorrow and it doesn't do any numbers. It's because like they can see, you know what I'm saying? Because they can see it somehow. They know that it's not real. You know, there's something there wasn't as much heart in it this time than there was last time, and they will respond. You know what I mean? So it really does have to be like, you gotta care. You gotta care.
Well, and I think even more the kind of like the subsequent concept of that is just like putting in more than instead of being like, okay, if I get people to dance to my song, then people will find my song. Be like, no, spend 30 hours making a video that, TikTok, YouTube, wherever you want to post it, that is just like, that you did not because it's going to get engagement, but because you wanted to make something super sick. And then that will connect with people. Or maybe the video like dies after like, I don't know, a week, like, or whatever the life cycle of Instagram is. But the song or like the blog post that you linked or whatever, that will have this kind of more lasting effect. And so, that's kind of what really shifted me away again from singles and towards like, oh, I do want to make an album. I want to make something that even if it gets, only like 20 streams a day, for which, I'm super grateful for that. But even that, like, if that's all that it gets for like a month and then people stop paying attention to it or whatever. But if you make something that is impactful, then it will do the thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like, if you make something that is just a cash grab, like, or an attention grab or whatever, it won't do the thing.
It will not.
So no matter what it is, just put in more than you ever expect to get out of it. And it will always pay dividends. But I always kind of tell myself lately, like, it's like, whatever I drop tomorrow won't blow up or won't hit its audience until 2 years later. Cause like, and it also helps you let go. Cause then you're just like, you're sitting there the first month, just like, or the first hour when you're posting like a Instagram or a TikTok or something like that. You're like, how many people are liking this? It's like, you have to completely disconnect yourself from the results. Cause otherwise you're just adding to that pool.
Yeah, that's so real. That's why, I mean, the other day I remember I posted a video and I was showing you something else and you were like, click back on TikTok. And I was like, oh, I can't, I just posted a video. I can't go back on TikTok for another like 2 hours. And that's part of that is a very like weird superstition that I have about the app. But another part of that as well is I learned very early on, like if I focus too much on the numbers, because that is all that what I used to do was I would post a video 15 minutes later, back on it for 30 minutes and I would just watch as it go. And I'm like, is it going to go or is it not going to go? Like, what am I going to do? And then I have to like adjust from there. And then to not just destroy myself and destroy my brain, I like had to be like, I have to stay off of this for like 3 hours or whatever after I post this and just let whatever happen and go from there. You know what I mean? And part of that is, you know, there is some superstition in there as well about the app just because TikTok is the way that it is. But you do have to you got to let go of wondering if people are going to see. You have to make it assuming no one is. Mm-hmm. And then you know you're making it for the only person you're making it for is yourself. Yeah. You know, and that's how people know that it's authentic. That's how people know that it's real. So you have this new album. It's the album, and the album's coming out, right?
Yes. Yeah. I think by the time that this is posted, it will be out.
Yes, it will be out. Yes. Super excited. We can talk about the album. I would love to hear about it. Yeah. What's the inspirations? What's the story?
So it's called Never Guessed That I'd Spend Energy on Being Small.
Oof.
Real. Damn.
Great name.
Another great name.
Love that.
Thank you.
Love that.
And it was a line in the first song that I wrote. My family goes to the Oregon coast every year as just like a family reunion thing. It's changing shape for the first time since I was like a child. I don't know if it's going to happen again, or at least the way that it was happening before. Mm-hmm. My mom has been so amazing with my transness and coming out. But I was not always as compassionate to how difficult it is for other people to have to change their perspective of you, especially a mother, a human being that is the reason that I exist. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like she has had a perception of who I am. And, you know, she knows me like very intimately and truly through our interactions, but also like, you know, in any aspect, like I can't know either of y'all any stronger than like the minimal interactions that we've had. And so like, if I were to try and like write a complete picture of you, I just would be wrong. And that's just facts. And the more time that you have, the less likely that's a problem. But especially something like transness, which just did not exist in her upbringing at all, has been, I guess, yeah, I'll start by saying that I wasn't being very compassionate to specifically her, I wouldn't say lack of understanding, but just not complete understanding of the way that being misgendered like affected me. Right. And I regret that now actually a little bit. Obviously I can't change my actions, but I think that I was probably a little overzealous over a little bit, I guess just like Twitter canceling on them, you know, just a little bit like, come on, mom, like, you don't get this right, then you're not, you're either with us or against us. And that was just inaccurate. And also I think that as I come more and more into my trans identity, I care less and less about like, it's like, if you know, and you're real with it and you like treat me as I want to be treated, like I'll kind of know, you know what I mean? And if you don't, then I also kind of know. It's more complex than just whether or not you use my pronouns. Like there are people who I know use my pronouns, but don't.
It's all about the authenticity. It's
you know,
like,
it's about the authenticity.
Yeah, I can tell.
Yeah, it's like, oh, like you may think that you may think that you're on this level, but you don't necessarily. Anyway, I kind of derailed. The way that this correlates to the song is that I was feeling really sad because my mom was like having a difficult time. This was like the first year that I came out, and she was misgendering me pretty regularly. And I remember writing a song that was basically like the lyrics were at the time were ma 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 ma, just nothing like. And the first things that came to my mind, like when I was like trying to like go over it again, was not coming back, not far enough. And I I remember thinking, this is really overdramatic. Like the fact that I'm never coming back to Spokane. I'm not far enough away. Like was kind of the concept. I was like, man, Spokane's where I'm from. And I was like, this is really overdramatic. And I also think that it's not accurate. And but it's still kind of where those words came from. So I guess I want to honor that. And it ended up kind of becoming this, like, in the context of the album, which I wouldn't find out for another 7 months, was that, like, this is really where I realized that there's a lot of stuff that I'm working on for myself and that I need to work on for myself in order to feel okay. And that this feeling of not coming back and not far enough is less about, like, me needing to get away from a place that is toxic, because I don't think that that's necessarily true. A place can't really be, like, holistically toxic. It's more about my interactions with it. And so it's like, it was more like, I'm not far enough away from, not even away, because I was running away from things, and that's just not right. But I knew that I wasn't far enough along in my understanding and safety and, like, I guess, wholeness in myself. So I spent a lot of time, that was the beginning. That was the beginning of the album, was just like, I know that I have some stuff I need to work on. Kind of Ugly was, I wrote maybe 3 months later, right after I started my nomadic journey. I was just in a clearing in New York, and I remember just being like the first lyrics of the song are, I feel kind of ugly. And I just remember being like, that is just the most accurate thing that I can feel in this given moment. Just like, this is how I feel. And just wrote lyrics just like straight off of what I was experiencing. Shout out Apple, shout out voice memos. So many of those initial
yes.
Love those.
Yeah.
Voice memos are huge. Yeah.
But yeah, so that was kind of this realization that a lot of what I was needing to work on was just self-love. And I didn't quite feel ready. It's interesting, like in the previous albums, I Am Worthy of Love, and it's like I was reminding myself of that. I was mantraing that was true. Yeah. But it is like clear now, a year and a half later, that like I still don't feel that. And so I was like, well, I'd rather just be honest about what I am feeling, and maybe through that I'll come to a better understanding of myself and a better safety and like self-love, instead of just being like, it's true, I am worthy of love. It's like, right. Like I gotta be like undoing these things. So like, why do I feel ugly? Body image, same deal. I wrote it, beginning of it, like on the like back patio of a friend's house in the sun, and just like I think the lyrics are like, wake up, check my text, snooze, knock out again. Just this feeling of exactly what I've been experiencing like every day. Like it was just taking me so long to get out of bed. Like why? I always hate myself when I wake up. Like what's going on? And then, from then on, 23 Not Famous was kind of like the next one that came around. And that was like, wow, this has been, I had been working on the song. A lot of these things are ideas that have been floating around for a long time, and just kind of realizing what they were. And now I'm like, oh, there's kind of a theme going on here. I guess I don't know what that means, but I'm just going to keep going.
Did you write the songs in order the way that?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess I'm just kind of going in order of the album, but I don't really remember exactly how. A lot of these things were ideas that existed for a long time, and I had them. I use the Files app. So like on my computer, whenever I like finish a significant chunk of work, I will render out that and it will go into the Ableton file. And then I'll use Apple, like has the little tags. So I'll tag it with like renders or like, whatever. And what's super cool is like so many of my homies like upload their shit to SoundCloud when they want to listen to it. But for me, I just like all I have to do is like finish it, close my computer. I can leave my computer, and because it's syncing, it's on Wi-Fi, it's like already on my phone. So I can just download it to my phone and then listen to it in the car. So that was kind of, what I was doing. So a lot of these things kind of came together through that.
Shout out Ableton.
Like kind of, I guess, unspoken, maybe it is spoken thing about like any sort of business or job opportunity is just that like, if you make yourself known as interested and you make yourself known as like, these are the things I'm capable of, then like, generally speaking, if you just keep doing that and you are generally self-aware and you're not like being like weird or like over zealous or whatever, I tend to believe that like, that's kind of the best way to find opportunities that are suiting for you. So I was really excited about this music distribution company. I thought that they were doing really great work. And I just kept emailing them. I just kept being like, hey, just so you know, still
would love to work here.
Still would love to work here. Exactly. And really lucky that as soon as I finished undergrad, they had an opportunity. And I just started working artist relations, which was like literally just customer service, basically just answering artists' emails. Like, here's the thing. And, you know, it's a music tech company technically, because like, you know, it's like you know, it is a music company, but it's primarily like, just like technology that affords artists the ability to like get their music out into the world.
Yeah.
And so that was really exciting. And then just being able to be like completely financially independent from my parents, in a way that was not like just like food service, which I was doing for a really long time. And I'm really grateful for that. It taught me a lot. And I also worked at a library, and that was cool. But there's a difference between like working minimum wage and like for 20 hours a week and just like figuring it out. And then also just being like, no, I'm working 40 now, so I have less time, but I also like, I have like more resources. I don't have to like worry about money. I'm not thinking about like whether or not I can go out to eat with my friends or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of people, especially moving to LA, like the first thing they do is they're like, all right, so I got to make my music so famous so that I can be famous so that I don't have to do a job. And it's so interesting because the advice that I give people now is just like the complete opposite. Just like find something you don't hate that gives you the money that you don't need to worry.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then anything that you do, anything that you do for your art gets to be for that purely. Yeah. And I just continue to lose money on my business. Or it's not, I shouldn't put it in quotes. It is a business. But and it's actually getting to the point where it's starting to break even, which is really cool. And I actually don't really know what to do with it now. Because like I was so used to putting money into it before. But I think that's like, it relieves so much stress, because then when you look at your, you know, you come back and you have like, I think the first year I had like $5 of revenue from Spotify. And then the next year was like 10. And then, you know, it just kind of like, it starts to kind of like ball up. But that being, I guess, financially independent from anyone, I think for a lot of people, it's usually their parents, or like, you know, like they're living with their parents or their siblings or whatever, but being fully financially independent. And then also just kind of realizing that that I wasn't like trying to push so hard to make my music my main source of income. Those two things opened up my freedom a lot. And sure, I have less time than my homies who are just grinding it, but I also have way less stress. And I don't think there's a right or a wrong way to do it, but just this is the only way that was working for me, because I was just so anxious when I was like trying. And I was like, I also hated everything. I was like, I have to answer this stupid artist email. This artist sucks. Like, I hate them. It's like, whoa, dude, no, that's not the kind of energy I want to be putting out through the universe. And so like, and now it's just like, oh yeah, like I'm like, you know, when you recontextualize everything, like I'm so grateful that I get to do this thing that affords me the ability to live in LA, that affords me the ability to, you know, like, it's so funny. I think it is as simple as like being able to eat out with your friends when you want to, being able to like comp people's meals, like being able to like, you know, buy plugins that I wanted to make my art and stuff like that, and not freaking out and not trying to find a crack, and not like, you know, being able to travel to go play a show or whatever, whatever it was, just being able to do that. Being able to, it's kind of the same thing we were talking about earlier with like social media. If you give more than you ever expect to get back, then that's always going to like afford you like a space.
Absolutely.
And so I was doing the same thing, I guess, financially with my music. I was like, I'm going to give my music more than I'm going to get back from it.
That's so great. That's such a great mindset to have.
Yeah.
Wow. Because you really are putting on some very negative energy if you come and you're like, this has to be the thing that makes me famous.
Yes.
What do you think? Do you think that that's gonna like propel you to like making good art, especially art? Art, it's impossible to have that mindset and to be able to make something that's high quality because you're so stressed out.
Like survival mode, you know? It's really hard to be creative in survival mode.
It is.
I mean, you're a different type of creative.
Yes.
You know, you can birth some really relatable and interesting pieces, but for like a long-term career,
you just end up burning out.
Yeah,
Was that your question? Did I answer it completely?
Okay. Yeah.
I was literally thinking about, you know, this city has such a very negative energy around it, because that is the mindset of majority of people, I feel like, coming here to do artistry type jobs and that type of thing. Is like, that is but they don't have the foresight that you had to be able to be like, hold on.
Oh, it wasn't foresight.
It was
or
hindsight. Just experience.
Because I fucked up. I spent like when I first started making pop music in LA, it was like there was a track called Idolize Me and that I wrote. And I remember just like, it was so funny because I was so fronting. I remember saying like insecurity stays in Seattle, like is one of the lines. And I was like, no, like I was still insecure. I was like in this dark cave in DTLA, like we were on the bottom floor. There's so many buildings. So it's like, there's no sunlight coming in. And it was just like, I just remember being like, I made it. Like, why am I so angry? And it's like, it's because so I was like, I'm trying to be famous. Like I was trying to be famous. And everything that I was thinking about came from the context of like, how are people seeing me? How are people like, whatever. And it was just painful. And so kind of that imposter syndrome of like, oh, I am not a real artist because I'm not pursuing as my primary thing. Like, am I fake now? Am I not living my life to what I want to be living it to?
Right.
And it's such a series of hard conversations to be like, what do I actually want out of life? Yeah. Do I want 150 likes? Do I want 1,000 likes off of a post? Because there's something I can work towards. But is that what I want? Yeah. Not really. Like, what do I want? I want to, for a long time, I didn't even know if I wanted to make music because I was like, I really love the process of listening to music. That makes me feel really full. And I've made music my whole life. Am I just like forcing myself to do it because I'm good at it? Or like, because like I think I'm good at it even? And then kind of what I realize is just, it's like, you just do what makes you feel good, basically. With as much time as you can, do what makes you feel good. And then on the days that there are more things that you have to do that don't feel good than things that you do, just start to kind of like analyze those things. And like, can you balance them? Is it a perspective thing? If it's not, should you get rid of something? You know, having a day job is cool and all, but if it sucks, then that's not affording you the same thing either. So finding something, you know, it might not be in the field that you necessarily wanted, but is it okay, I guess, is like, I'm always looking for, there's going to be good, there's going to be bad, there's going to be okay. Find a way to get that balance every single day because it will be no matter if you're living your dream job or if you're like doing, you know, everything that you don't want to be doing. Like there's always going to be some sort of balance of like good, bad, and mid. And just trying to find that every day, I realized that like some days it's not music. Some days it's not. And some days it is. And I'm really grateful for those days. And they produce albums that I get to release with people and they get to connect with. And I'm grateful for that. But
that's, I love that you're saying this. I really do love that you're saying that. And I feel like what you, it's really like hard to put into words because I feel like what you're saying really needs to be like played on airplanes to people who are about to move here. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like as like, you are packing your bags and you're moving from wherever to come and move to Los Angeles. Like, I feel like people need to hear exactly what you just said and be like, because if you wonder, like, there's always like this myth, especially before I moved here, like, there was all these people back then like, don't lose yourself over there. Man, I was like, how does that happen? Like,
right, not me.
Yeah, it's like, you know what I'm saying? Not me. Right. That could never be me. Like, I can never imagine what that would be like. Until you come to the city and then you lose what your passion was, you lose what you were chasing because you think that your way of getting it is through
you go on
getting
like,
1,000,
you go on a different path and you're like still on that path and you look back and you're like, oh shit,
what the hell happened to the original plan?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then it's like, that's what that is. I feel like people think like, it's just, oh, you get involved with the wrong crowd and then next thing you know, it's like blah, blah, blah. No, you're chasing a goal and you think that something is going to lead you to the right place. And then next thing you know, you look back and you don't even know who you are or where you even came from anymore.
Right.
Yeah. You know, that's a very important thing for people.
But it's never unrecoverable.
Yeah. It's never unrecoverable.
Never. Yeah. I think it was so interesting. I love what you're talking about, like when moving to LA, because I definitely had this perception that I needed to move here in order to do things. Yeah. But then I went on a tour, again, shout out DJ Recode. She put on this phenomenal show or series of shows and tour really called the Angels Tour, Rock Angels Tour. And it was like predominantly trans lineup, like so many phenomenal artists, a lot of like hyper pop, a lot of glitchcore and just everything really. The most community, safety and like launching energy that I've ever felt has not been in LA. It was in Hartford, Connecticut at a skate park where we played this show. And there was a person who had driven from Tennessee with their mom to see us, 12 hours to see us. And the crowd was like maybe 40 people at maximum. I have never felt a more intense like showing up energy. You can be in a room of 5,000 people here and sometimes not feel that.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to throw shade on LA. I know everyone loves to be like LA people fake, LA is not like whatever. But and like that's not entirely accurate either. But just this like remembrance that like, again, think about what you want to do. What do you actually want to do? And then really like, why are you going to the place you're going? Yeah. The reason I like LA is because I have a lot of people here that are on similar energies as me and it's warm. But those are the reasons I'm here. It's not because I'm like, I need to make it in the music industry. Now I feel like having experienced that, I now finally feel like you can go anywhere. You can be anywhere and do the things.
I mean, your art's for people everywhere.
Exactly.
And it's going to be received differently by people everywhere.
Yeah.
And here, LA, everyone's kind of numb to art because we're seeing it all the time.
Because we're seeing it all the time.
But you go to a place like Connecticut.
And then also this is kind of like, because of how the industry works, this is kind of the place where that type of artistry does come to die in a sense, because it's built, because it's like built in a way where the people who can produce that type of art are only interested in making money. So it's like, it's very hard to come and be earnest and be yourself and still be able to quote unquote make it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But like you said, it's not it's not
all
impossible.
about your mindset.
It's all about
but it's really
your
hard
mindset.
to not let your mindset get clouded.
It is.
But it really is it's mind over matter and
LA, LA can be it can either be a shithole place where, you know, it's like all these people are fake and everybody around, like it can be that, but you can also be exactly what you just said. It can be, I mean, the weather is incredible. Yeah. And then it's just like, also like when you have like a community of people who you're on the same page with, a community of people who are matching your energy, who want what you want and is genuinely happy for each other and genuinely happy when somebody achieves their goal and they want to grow with you. This is a beautiful place. It's one of the best places in the world. Yeah. But it's so easy for that to flip. It's so easy for that to go south and go sour really quickly. Yeah. So I applaud you for where I want your mindset in like a year. I have like a lot of like work.
It'll take that long.
Yeah, it takes a long time.
If you just keep it as the North Star though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that was this album. It was just like, oh, like, you know, I knew when I wrote Not Coming Back, I was like, dude, I'm not good. And like, I want to be good today, but I know that's not going to happen. And it's the same thing as like Thick Iron Fog. Like, it's like, I never expected that to get the reception that it did. Yeah. And like, I just have Lovesick. I wrote Lovesick with a person named Harrison. And like, you know, that got on Hyperpop and we were like, what? Like we didn't, like we pitched it, but we did not do anything especially, you know, crazy. We didn't like do like a whole TikTok campaign or whatever. Yeah. And it's like, you never really know what's going to happen, but you cannot expect these things to kind of come quickly. And also that's the other thing. I feel like I got it on an editorial playlist. I was like, that's it. I did it. It's forever now. Yeah. And then like we got off 7 days later and I was back to exactly where I was before. And it's like, oh yeah, there's always going to be that thing that makes you feel like you had a breakthrough and that's great. And those things are valuable and they will be breakthroughs, but in general, like, it's all about just knowing that everything, no matter how big it feels, is kind of a baby step. And as long as you're becoming more the person you want to be and not like just accomplishing things that you think other people want from you, then you're on the right path.
Damn. Love that. I love that so much. I think that's absolutely incredible. And you are incredibly wise. And like, seriously, like, thank you so much for being on. This is
imparting your wisdom. This is a TED Talk.
This was amazing. This was like really. I'm literally like I
didn't even talk about the music. I was just like, this is what got me to where I was. Yeah. But in a way, that's talking about the music.
No, it's about the music. It's the
listen. Y'all listen.
No, real. I'm like, we got to figure out a way to get this like playing on planes of people who are about to move. I'm like literally like people need to hear this shit. I don't know. People need to hear this.
Well,
shit.
they got Spotify on the plane. Download it before you hop on the plane.
Yes, absolutely.
Listen to this episode.
Tell people about when the album's coming out or where they can find it.
So the album drops February 1st. It's called Never Guessed That I'd Spend Energy on Being Small. And it's basically the story of me learning so very slowly and painfully how to take care of and love myself and recognizing that none of those things are permanent and that it's a forever journey. and the next album will probably be about the same shit. And that's
Same
okay.
person.
You know what I mean?
And we'll need it then. Audiences need it now. And then the next album, they're going to need it then.
Yeah.
The next album, they're going to need it then, because just like you're on that journey, everybody else is as well.
The same
and
one.
it's inspiring. And it's incredible that you are able to not only go on that journey, but tell your story of that journey through art.
Thank you.
It's really an
Yeah.
incredible thing. It's an incredible thing.
And I'm just so grateful for artists. The Rock Angels tour was so powerful for me to realize that there was no rules. And so artists that made me realize that, so that I could write an album that has pop punk on it. I could write an album that has like electronic music. It's got like a drop. It's got like poppy stuff. Yeah, so everything that I've been has gotten me, everything that I've been listened to, absorbed from other people has gotten me to this point. And this is, I guess, the most complete distillation of those feelings that I've had, I guess, up until like September, because I've been basically done with it. So I'm on some new shit now.
And we'll hear about that shit later. We're gonna hear about the old shit now. Don't listen. Don't listen. It'll already be out by the time that
it'll be out by the time that this episode is out. So make sure that you go and listen to it.
Just go swipe after this on Spotify.
Thank you so much for being on the show. Yes, it was truly a pleasure.
This is my first podcast. I feel really honored.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. First of many, I'm sure.
First of many. And what is going to be a very accomplished career.
Y'all made me feel famous. I really appreciate it.
Well, it's not.
Wilson, you'll always be famous to me.
Yeah. Not far off from everyone knowing. So
hopefully the type of famous though where you still feel like you can text me if you have my number.
Right.
Oh
right,
yes.
Absolutely.
Cool. Well, you have that energy. You have a great energy.
You do. You do. Very welcoming. Very amazing.
All right.
We've got to do the so now at the end we're gonna go. I'm gonna say like I'm Maria Small and I'm gonna say Washington, and you're gonna introduce yourself however you want, and then say and we're breaking broke.
We're breaking broke.
Okay.
So we're breaking broke.
Breaking Baroque or breaking broke?
Broke. Yes, broke.
Cool. All right. I'm Maria Small.
And I'm Isaiah Washington.
And I am Guest. And we are breaking broke.
Yeah,
am I the only one to say it? Oh, we're breaking broke.
I always forget one element of what they're supposed to do.
I thought we were going to do it as a team.
Yeah, a lot of people do.
I always forget that part.
And they were like, nope, you're alone.
Just really silent.
You're alone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Wilson. Thanks, guys. Thanks, you guys.
God. All right, take it easy.